Welcome to Shift by Bacardi.
All right, this is Cooper Tardivel from Halifax, Nova Scotia, from Bar Kismet, checking in for my shift. Tonight, we're going to be making a nightcap cocktail, or this is my nightcap cocktail. Use our imaginations a little bit. It's almost nighttime, but it's difficult to shoot during night, so let's pretend we're in the wee hours, close to midnight. So the nightcap cocktail we're going to make tonight is a version of the Rob Roy, but it's going to be inverted. So all the proportions will be switched. So as opposed to the classic Rob Roy of being 2 parts whiskey, Scotch whiskey, with 1 part vermouth with a few dashes of bitters, it's going to be more of a vermouth cocktail, and then the whiskey will kind of be the accent on the bottom in the smallest amount of proportion, with 2 different bitters: Angostura aromatic bitters, that baking spice, cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, kind of Swiss Army knife of bitters, the bartender's salt and pepper, and Peychaud bitters, kind of a stewed cherry, cinnamon profile bitters as well. The reason why I want to invert the proportions in this cocktail is because for a nightcap cocktail, I know for myself, I don't always want an absolute knockout punch. I want a nice, flavorful cocktail to kind of like send me off, not something to put me down. We're also using 2 different vermouths in that kind of perfect variation of cocktail. If you've heard of a perfect Manhattan or a perfect Rob Roy, it's equal parts Italian and French vermouth, or dry and sweet vermouth. We're going to be doing that here as well today. So let's get started. Our whiskey is the Aberfeldy 12-year, a Highland single malt. This is a great whiskey for this style of cocktail for a Rob Roy, or in a sense of inverted Rob Roy, because it is still quite bold and it's going to shine even within these inverted proportions. As a classic Rob Roy, it would be a great all-star as well. So because we're inverting the proportions, we are going to pour ½ an ounce. Now, here's the other thing I like to do with inverted cocktails, is play with the dilution a little bit. So since I have the highest strength spirit in my mixing glass, I'm going to stir it down just a little bit, just on its own. So that dilution belongs to this spirit. And just chilling it down just a little bit. These types of cocktails I don't like too cold, because a reduction in temperature is a reduction in flavor. So I want to keep the temperature chilled, but not super ice cold. And now we're going to add 3/4 of an ounce of dry vermouth, the Martini Dry, and 3/4 ounce of Martini Rosso. Now, these 2 vermouths are lower in alcohol, so I don't need to dilute them as much, and I don't want to dilute them as much as I did the whiskey, which was higher. But I am going to blend the flavors ever so slightly, just once or twice around the block. I'm going to add 2 dashes of Peychaud bitters, and 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Anyone who's using an Angostura bottle realizes there's no such thing as a perfect dash. It just kind of comes out and it stops when you stop it. And again, I'm just going to blend those flavors together. We're going to strain into our stem glass. And garnish with a lemon twist. So yeah, so playing with diluting different strengths, spirits at different times will yield a different overall profile, because you're changing the character of the spirit individually, as opposed to changing the characters of all the spirits all at once within the same glass. Little expression on top. And there you are, a nice inverted Aberfeldy 12-year Rob Roy for your nightcap. Good night. Cheers.